Is that working now? Oh, it's working now. I think we're okay. I think we're okay now. I don't know what I did. I think I probably pressed something. Let me know. This is at 20 minutes. Sorry, 20 seconds delay. What a strange start to the day. I've no idea. I think we should be okay. Anyway, so I'll start again. I think. Okay, Nico. I thought you were perfect. Well, welcome everybody. thank you, Mayor, for pointing it out. No audio, no voice. So anyway, I was just rambling on anyway, so thank you for joining. This is the last in a little three-part series on exploring the BTP Service Metadata. We're going to explore sounds go, exploring the metadata, this time with JavaScript, because why not? We've been doing some JQ, and we're going to look at it in JavaScript now. And then we're going to, draw a line under that and maybe look at something else next time. Thank you very much for letting me know. So let me just switch to the main scene. There we go. I see this is what I was doing here. I think one of the things is if I'll show you this sort of setting here when I plug in my things, and then if I plug them into a different USB port, sometimes in macOS they appear as different devices. It's just like I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway. So I think we're back now. Or I might have just pressed a key. So we are, let me just show you on here. We are looking at, let me put that in the chat here. We're looking at this wonderful repository. So this is where you want to go. By the way, while I'm sharing things, before we just dive in, there's a couple of things. Nico, I just saw Nico on the chat. So welcome everybody, including Nico. Nico's done this awesome little app, UI5 based app, which is to support our little initiative, the SAP community, 24 days of SAP community. So in fact, we share that with you as well. And it's the 9th day, which is very relevant because that's me. Woohoo! And so you open these doors and you have a little blog post or something. So it's been some really nice bits and pieces so far. So you click on that and you can go to today's today's door, and I'm writing about Advent of Code. And in fact, if you are interested in, hey Weezus, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, and welcome. Yeah, I have been doing some of the Advent of Code puzzles in JavaScript, in JQ. So if you want to learn more about JQ, maybe you shouldn't look at this, but I've been doing some more JQ stuff. So if you want that, have a look at the link there from the 24 Days of SAP Community, Day 9. And also, finally, there's Tom doing a really good impression of Rich, in fact. So let me share that with you as well. Okay, that's it. So Holger says, I thought I need new AirPods. No, DJ needs a new brain. I have no idea what I'm doing. So let's get started. Let's close that. Where we are, if you remember, and just forgive me if you've attended the last two, what we've got in this BTP Service Metadata repo is in V0, we've got a couple of different personas. We've also got an inventory.json. The inventory.json file shows us an array of one object per resource. I'm going to use the word resource as in application that you can subscribe to, or a service that you can create an instance of, or an environment that you can create and run things in. And so for every one of those resources, you have a very simple object here. Okay, so that's the inventory JSON. But also within that, maybe more importantly, more sort of deliciously, we have a couple of personas. We're looking at the developer persona, and for every resource, there isn't an object in an array, there's a file, okay? So if just pick one at random, I'm always picking that up because it's at the top. I have no idea. Cred store, conversational AI. It's rather relevant, isn't it? So we have here, and each of the resource files is an object with some basic information: the name, the display name, a description, an icon, link to an icon, links to other things. Let me just go into the raw so we can collapse things. Links to documentation and support areas and everything, and then a list of service plans. And in here, there's one particular service plan called standard, and then within that we've got data centers. So where that standard service plan is available. Okay, so we've seen this before. Good morning, Ronnie. Good morning, Ronnie. So, Ronnie, just to let you know, I've posted some of your amazing stickers out to various folks around the world. Those who I mentioned that there were stickers available, and if you want some stickers and you haven't pinged me on with a direct message on, what's it called, Twitter, and send me your address and I'll post you some stickers, some developers.svp.com stickers, some hands-on SVP dev stickers, some awesome learning, what they called, magnets that that Ronnie has produced recently. Amazing. So go back and watch the first episode to find out what they look like and whether you want any. There we go. So thank you, Ronnie. And yeah, they've always got support components as well, which is quite a new thing. Anyway, so let's go back. And where we are in terms of our exploration, we're sort of, around the campfire, which is this metadata exploration directory. Okay. By the way, if you haven't already, go ahead. Magnets, yes, magnets. What do you mean magnets? Question mark, Ronnie. You created them. Wait a minute. These. Helmut says, what? You are still on Twitter? Yeah, it's sort of like, I'm not sure what I should be doing. Here are the magnets. Are you having me on, Ronnie? These are the magnets that you produced. Amazing. So yeah, magnet, as well as the amazing stickers. So yeah, perfect. So thank you, Ronnie, for being awesome as usual and creating these things. So if you want some of those, or I'm going to give you one magnet per person, obviously. But these are all from Ronnie. So Ronnie is the person to thank here. So yes, I'm still on Twitter, but who knows? Right. So what I did this morning, I was messing around. I thought, you know what, rather than write it all live and hack around, you might want to sort of go and look at this at the weekend as well. So I've added some of the stuff that we're going to go through. I had trouble naming. Yes. Oh, magnet. Oh, I see. Magnet. Yeah, I had trouble naming them. Sorry, Ronnie. Yes. I couldn't think what they were. What are they? Magnets, not badges. In the US, they call badges, they call them buttons, which, anyway. Right. DJ, focus. So you may already have had a look at this metadata exploration README, and we've got in here a number of JQ examples, but what we've now added is some JavaScript examples and sort of the JavaScript equivalent, right? So that's all in here. And for example, here we've got in the inventory exploration. Well, let me just explain as well. We looked at the inventory file, and then we looked at all the individual resource files. We've got inventory exploration, and then we've got individual service file explorations with more examples, okay? So that's the structure of this document. I've already forgotten, yes, exactly, I forget everything. So if you have a look here, there's an example. That's what one of these objects looks like in the inventory.json file. We looked at this last week. In fact, let's run it. And then also now, we've got a little JavaScript equivalent, okay? For those who prefer JavaScript or, feel more comfortable with JavaScript. But I would definitely recommend you have a look at JQ as well, because it's super powerful. Oh my goodness me. Anyway, so let's just hop across to here. This is the README here. And if we have a look, in fact, why don't we do this? Let's put that over there and swap them around. There we go. That's nice. Make that a little bit smaller as well. I think that's still okay. There we go. Yeah, there we go. That's fine. So let's walk through this together. So what we've got, in fact, is a little JavaScript sort of helper file. And all this does will slurp in all of the resource files. So all of where are we? Come on, BTP Service Metadata. It's going to slurp in all of the files in this developer directory, right? In the same way that this thing here, in the same way that the services by category, where are we? Services by category, what's it called? Entries by category, in the same way that uses where is it? For example, here's free subscription plans. In the same way that -s with JQ slurps all the files in. Visas, it doesn't, so Visas is saying buttons are used to close your trousers, but then again, they call them pants, which is really what people do when they breathe heavily. Also in Manchester, around here, if you say something is pants, basically it means it's rubbish. It's no good at all. That's pants, that is. So there you go. I really wanted to get one of these cool stickers and badge, but unfortunately my country is so far away from the UK. Visas. There is no country that is too far away from the UK for me to post you something. So ping me on a direct message on Twitter, and I'll with your address, with line by line, so I know where the line breaks are, and I'll post you some. No problem at all. Okay, so yeah, we're slurping things in JQ, so we also want to slurp things in with JavaScript, and that's what this does here. And effectively, what we end up with is a constant M, which is the metadata, all the slurped in resource files. But I've also added, just this morning, a reading in of the inventory.json into another constant called I, as in inventory. M metadata, I inventory. Naming things is hard. I've also got a couple of functions here, but we'll just come to those in a bit. Oops. So let's go back here. Where are we? Metadata exploration. So here we go. For the JavaScript examples, you can use Node.js. So that's what we're going to do. So let's get out of here. Node. By the way, is that big enough? Yeah. So if I say load slurp.js, we get a whole lot of stuff. Okay. But now we get M. Okay. Let's clear the screen. M. There we go. That's all of the data from all of the resource files in the /v0 developer directory in the repo. We also have I now as well, which is basically a read the inventory file that's been read in. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? So we've got those, and we can say, for example, as it says here, just above behind my head, m.length. Now I think there are going to be more now since I wrote this thing, but roughly, okay, you can see that. So m, the first m entry is that one. First m entry dot display name absolution. M dot map display name. There we go. So we get all the data. Okay, so we can now start using JavaScript to explore this data. And I thought, and let me know if there's anything particularly you want to explore, but I thought we could work through these explorations, but not use JQ, but use JavaScript instead. So because we're sort of aware of what the sort of thing that we've done already, right? So let me know. Right. So just shout at any time. So here we go. Inventory exploration. Entries by category. So this is where we've got an entry object for every resource, and they're categorized: services, applications, and environments. So what this one did, in fact, why don't we run entries by category? That's that thing there, and the entries by category creates something that looks like this. It creates an array of objects. Okay, fine, and where you've got all the applications, and there's a key there with an array as the value with all the different names, display names for the ones that are categorized as application. Okay, and we've got down here the environment as a key, and those two there, Cloud Foundry and Kima, and then services. Okay, fine. So we want to do something in JavaScript which will give us something similar. Okay, so I've started writing a few things down, so you can sort of play around with it at the weekend as well if you want. Let me know. Let me know on the chat right now if anybody has already started playing with the inventory and the metadata and what you've explored. So we can see here, for example, let's go back here, I0 there. Okay, so get that. Now, JavaScript doesn't have a native grouping function that's attached to the array prototype. Okay, unlike we have in JQ, we have this group by function or filter in JQ. So to keep the examples as close to each other as possible, what I've done, let's go into here in the slurp.js. I've created a little group by function. Okay, all that does is just use reduce, but we'll sort of treat the group by as an opaque function. And all that will do is you pass it two things. You pass it a list of things, the x's there, and you pass it the name of a key, which is, you pass it an array of objects. And then in fact, let me show you. Here we go, group by, that's a function. So if I say group by, let's say, name, caret, type. It is so hard writing JSON, isn't it? I've been spoilt by JQ because you can write JSON in such an easier way. And then you say, I don't know, name, onion. Oh, it's not fruit, is it? What am I talking about? Vegetable. Onion, type, type. And then finally we'll have a name, apple, type, fruit. Oh, comma, type. There we go. Let me just do it again. There we go. There. Type fruit, type. So we pass it effectively an array of objects as the first argument, and as a second argument we pass it the name of a property in those objects, and it will then return us an object, okay, where we have a grouping by that type, vegetable and fruit. Same sort of thing as what we can see here, right? Application, environment, blah, 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 right? Does that make sense? So we've got that. So now what we'll do is we'll work through this thing here. We can say by category equals group by. Now what do we need to pass it? We need to pass it effectively a list of, well, in fact, let's go slowly. Okay, we could say i.map x.display. What is it? Display. We'll have display name. Are we all happy and comfortable with this sort of these fat arrow functions? By the way, let me know in the chat. So we've got here. In fact, why don't we also make it easier for ourselves? Let's create a little function. Display name name equals x.dis. I remember in Ruby, anybody programming in Ruby, you could do a really nice sort of delegation thing that if you didn't find a function of a given name, it would then delegate to this other sort of dynamic thing that, this would be a really nice way to do this. But anyway, I'm going to create a sort of a static function called display name, which will just, give us back the display name property of the thing that we, use, the thing that we pass. So if I say I0, display name I0, there. Ooh, arrow functions for the win! Arrow functions for the win! Yes, there we go. Thank you, Nico. Okay, so if we say i.map, we'll map over the i's, and we say display name. Okay, fine. Now let's do that again, but instead of creating like just a flat list, we'll have display name, but we'll also have, and here's another function, maybe do another function for this, right? Category. What are we doing here? Display name x dot category. Oh, what are we doing? Display name imap. Display name. What are we doing here? X dot display name. Oh, sorry. Map. We need a function, don't we? X. Oh, we might as well do it. Let's don't find me. Let's do it. Imap x display name x dot category, like that, right? There. So now we've got a list of lists, a list of arrays, an array of arrays. But what we can now say, right, is we can say group by, and then we'll group it by, and because of the sort of yeah, I'm going to say it, because of the beauty of JavaScript, we can actually not, this is an array, not an array of arrays, not an array of objects, but we can still use a sort of a property. And the property in this case is an index, an array index, because this is an array of arrays. So we can say the second, as in index 1. So we can group by that, like that. And there we get, let's go up there. There we go. There we get something similar. We get service as a key, and the value is an array, and then in that array it's an array of arrays. So we want to sort of get rid now of this sort of secondary sort of helper little bit of data here. So why don't we do that? Okay, so we can say, well, what are the keys in there? Object.keys. Oh, hold on. Did I not? What did we call it? By category. Oh, there we go. Let's put it in by category. By category, like that. And now we can say object.keys by category. We get those. So now we can use that, and now we're down here, right? We can use that to sort of, I should really make that a little bit wider, shouldn't I? Where are we? There we go, that's better, there. You can see that there. So what we're going to do is we're going to reduce over that list of keys. Okay, so object.keys.category. Is that big enough, by the way? Smaller, there we go, there. Object.keys.reduce. Now, we've done reduce on hands-on SAP Dev before, a long time ago. And for some people, it's a little bit like, oh, but actually it's super powerful, and when you just stop to think about it for a second, actually quite straightforward. So unlike map and filter and other sort of predicate, other functions that take functions, reduce takes a function which has, and you need to use normally, at least 2 parameters. Those parameters are the accumulator and the thing that's getting passed in each time. Okay, and then you sort of define your function here, and then you also define what you want to start with. Okay, so that's this thing here. So, by the way, let me know in the chat, please. Somebody like Ronnie or Nico or Helmut or anybody, Mark, people who don't mind sort of putting things in the chat. Let me know if this is too low level. Let me know if this is too basic and too easy. If I'm going too slow. Christian, are you on that as well? So say hi if you're on, Christian, and let me know as well. But yeah, I'm going to go and sort of try and explain as I go. This is the second parameter to the reduce function, is the thing you want to start with. Okay, so you start with a thing, whether that's a scalar value or an array or an object. Pretty much that's all you can really start with, or a Boolean, I suppose. Well, that's what scalar is, Boolean, right? A Boolean is scalar. So yeah, scalar, object, or array. What you want to start with, that becomes the accumulator for the first call. So we can now say, for example, well, in fact, if this is a ridiculous example, let's just do that. Let's move my mouse. A ridiculous example, we could say a.concat x. Is that going to work? Yeah, okay. So we're basically reproducing that array. We're basically doing a map, okay, of starting with an empty array, and then that becomes the accumulator. Then we're concatening a sort of an inline array containing the single value that's passed in first, which is service, in an array, concatenating it onto the array, going round and round and round. Okay, so what we're going to do instead is we're going to say here, we're going to grab the by category of x. Okay, so let's do that. A of x equals by category of the x, right? But we're going to map over the things that are in there, right? So now, yeah, map over the things that are in there. X. There we go, like that, like that, by category, and then we need to return. that A there, and then we'll start with an array. where are we? By category, map x, by category, oh, there we go, by category x dot, oh, map, there. What? It's always good to see things we use day to day by from another perspective and get some insight. So thank you, Helmut. Thank you, Helmut. Let me do that again. I'm going to go across, make that a little bit smaller here. There we go. There. So we can see it all on one line. Okay, so Merv is also. So let me start again by category. So A of X. Okay. Oh, there we go. That's why. Yeah. We need to put it in because we're doing because we're having multiple statements in the function. We've got to wrap it in curly. So there's the function, and then there's the starting value for the accumulator. So now we're going to say, right, A of X, and then we're going to say by category of X. Pick out the value of the by category of X, but go through them, right, and grab that one. Okay. There we go. Let's do that again. There, map there, and then reduce, and then that's it. Which are they? Oh, x1, 0. There. Now, let's just do that over here now, so we can see it, all see it. Did we get that, by the way? Did we get that? So we're reducing over the by category. Let's just remind ourselves of what by category is. By category is an object with 3 keys: environment, application, and service. And each of these keys, the value for the key is an array. And it's an array of arrays, where the arrays are sort of two element arrays. First with the display name, second with the environment. So we were trying to get rid of this second one, throwing it away by grabbing the first. Okay, so let's do that. Have a look at it again. Reducing over, and we're saying, okay, well, actually what we're producing in this initially empty object is, a new key, where the key is the key that we're passing in, service, environment, and application. And the value of that key is the what this function returns, which is going and grabbing the value of that key in the by category, okay, grabbing that list of 2 element arrays, mapping over that list, but just returning the first element. Okay, does that make sense? There we go. This wasn't intentional, but maybe that shows also how powerful, from a processing JavaScript object perspective, how powerful JQ is, because it's so much simpler, right? Anyway, let's move on to an example that doesn't have reduce, because maybe we're starting now. Maybe reduce is like, sometimes it's hard to get into your brain. So let's see, individual, here we go, applications with a free subscription plan. There we go. So let's have a look at this. What we did is we said, where are we? Go into here, free subscription plans. What are the applications with a free subscription plan? There we go. So we can see here that there are, each resource has a name, display name, description, and so on. It has links, as we know. And within the service plans, there are one or more service plans, and it's at the service plan level that the is free is defined as a Boolean, but also the category. So what we're looking for is applications with a free subscription plan. So we need to test this category thing, and also whether it's free at the service plan level within each of the service plans. So that's what we did in JQ. Now, we've now put in here for you a little bit of a JavaScript function. Now, let's run this first. Okay, so let me show you how you can do it. And we've put this in sort of with white space as well, so we can just paste it in, hopefully. No, there we go. Let's close that. There we go, that there, hopefully. There we go. Now, let's work through it. we've got here, I think we put a note somewhere. Some. There we go. Yeah, JQ's any is some in JavaScript, and JQ's all is every in JavaScript. There we go. Some issues. No, there we go. Where are we? Come on. There we go. Right. What? Where are we? What are we doing? Oh, yes, applications with free. There we go. Applications with free subscription plan. Let's move down to the JavaScript bit and stare at this for a second. Okay. Oh, by the way, AP says, for me, it's very helpful the way you start with a simple example and build more complex constructs step by step. It's very nice to follow the thought process, putting things in proper. Thank you, AP. So let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. So what we're doing here, we've got M, right? And we can set, why don't we say here, M dot, let's take the first one. Let's call ABAP solution. Service plans dot length. How many service plans? We've got one service plan. I think, in fact, why don't we do this? I'm just looking for a resource that's got more than one service plan. So we could say m.map x. Now, by the way, are you all happy with, I use X all the time, right? Because X is just the thing, right? And even if you've got like functions that follow functions that follow functions, or functions that call functions that call functions that call functions, you can start a new X each time, right? Here, for example, right? So it's not the same X. If it would help to use different, parameter names, then let me know. But this also stresses that these are sort of, beautiful sort of, what they called, not abstract, autonomous, anonymous functions that just exist in their own space, and that's it, and don't affect anything else. Okay, so we can map over this and say, well, let's find, let's just return x.display name and also x.service plans.length. Let's have a look. There we go. So we can see, for example, that we've got. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's pick the second one. SAP BTP ABAP environment. There are 5 service plans. Okay, so that's the one there. So let's just do that again. And service plans dot length. In fact, let's just have a look. Map display name. We've still got a function, haven't we? Display name. There. Those are the display names. We're using this function display name, right? Which is just x maps onto x.displayName. Those are the names of the service plans for M of 1, which is the ABAP BTP environment, right? So if we say m1.serviceplans, right, dot map x.category. You can see that there. There's the x.category. So clearly this one's not going to work out, right? So Mark says you could also shorten up. I'm not surprised you're saying this, Mark. Thank you very much. You could also shorten ABAP code quite a lot if you name all variables just X or Y. That's a wonderful. That opens up a wonderful debate, which maybe we haven't got time to go into now. How, some people who know me know that I much prefer the old-fashioned early ABAP and data dictionary standards of the 5-character names. Okay, short for German words and phrases, fine, but they're wonderful, they're memorable, they're mnemonics, in my mind, much preferable to super long names. Okay, super long names are sort of helpful, but they're not helpful, right? That said, going down to a single character, I think single characters for this sort of anonymous predicate function, for example, is perfect because it's a throwaway thing. It refers to the things that are getting passed in, and therefore, X and Y in this case are appropriate. Anyway, it's purely subjective, I know. So thank you for bringing it up. It's a very, very interesting discussion. So we got the category, and also is free. Okay, so some of the service plans are free, some are not. the value for is free is not defined for some other ones. Okay, so that's a question of eventually the data in the back end will be tidied up and it will be either true or false. Obviously, null is not very helpful for us. But this is early days for the BTP Service Metadata project. So that's cool. So why don't we do this first of all? So m.filter, okay, x.service plans .sum, which is basically, return true if any of the following are true. Okay, so x dot, in fact, why don't we do this? MDN JavaScript sum. There we go, array.project. MDN is brilliant, it's brilliant that. MDN is my favorite resource for JavaScript. So the sum method tests whether at least one element in the array passes the test implemented by the provided function. Okay, this is the beautiful thing about JavaScript. It has functions as first-class citizens, so you can pass functions to other functions, and you can have functions that generate functions. Okay, it's absolutely beautiful. It's a wonderful language in that respect. So there we go. So you can say here, pass that function. There, that function is a predicate function because it will return a Boolean, and so you can pass that, and then pass that function definition here to the sum. Is that behind my head? To the sum, and you get true in this case, right? So let's do that again. Sum x. Where are we? There we go. X.category. Category equals application. Well, there we go. Let's do that first of all. Sum x. Oh, sorry. What was I saying about JavaScript with first-class functions? That wasn't a function, okay? Because that it's actually this error message here is beautiful. False is not a function. What does that mean? Well, basically that evaluates to false in this particular, and that's not a function, and sum is expecting a function. So let's define that as a function. So every time we're passing the service plans each time into this function here, and we're saying what's the category? Is it equal to application? True or false? Okay. So for every, we're going to get true, false, true, false, true, false, true, 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 false, 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 whatever, and then sum will return a single Boolean if any of the values in there are true. But in this case, we're using a filter here. So the filter itself will only reproduce, only spit out the ones for which this function is true. Okay, again, sum takes a predicate function, filter takes a predicate function. So we're calling filter, we're passing a predicate function. That predicate function is using sum, passing our own predicate function to sum. So we can say, show me all the resources where any one of the service plans for that resource has a category of application. And there we go. Now, in fact, let's just use that function again, map display name. So all those are applications. Now, let's just see, because that's quite a long list, let's just see if that really is working. Environment. There we go. So we can do that right. In fact, and now we can say, and, because we just extend the body of the inner predicate function to say, and x dot is free. Okay, because is free is a Boolean. So that will evaluate, with the value of the property is free will return true or false. And that's fine in terms of a sort of, a Boolean ampersand. There we go. So actually both Cloud Foundry and Kima have free service plans. That's cool. So there we go. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So that's what we can try and stare at. Okay. I didn't want to do this list service availability by region because that's quite a complex one. We'd need more time to go through that. So let me just jump down to services availability. Well, no, maybe we got the JavaScript. You can have a look at the JavaScript there. What are the regions anyway? Yeah, I think we could do that. Yeah, why don't we do that one? Anyway, so I thought I'd put this, we put the JavaScript in here so you can have a look at it later. So what are all the regions anyway? if we have a look in JQ, where are we? In JQ, we can say list all regions. And we do get a flat list, nicely tab separated, proper Unix output from JQ, because we're spitting out, the raw output of all the possible regions. So for all the resources and all the service plans that those resources have, and all the data centers that those service plans for those resources are available in, show me all the regions. Now, of course, if we did that, we get a massive list. Remember, I think it was it last week where we looked at that and there was like 3,000 and something because they're all duplicated across different things. So that's what we're going to do now. So that was the JQ equivalent. So now let's have a look at how we do it in JavaScript. Again, JavaScript doesn't have a unique function. However, we can fairly easily create one in that, and I've done one here, and we've got here in here, I've just defined one for us there, unique. So that's in there already. So we've got that in our Node.js, unique as a function, right? So what this is doing is saying it takes 3 parameters, okay? It takes a thing, it takes an index, and it takes an array. Now, you may think that's a strange set of things to take, but actually, if you look at the signature of, for example, the predicate functions that can be used with filter, for example, or sum, what JavaScript does when you use filter and a predicate function, it will not just pass. There's an example of filter up here somewhere. Yeah, it will not just pass the thing that you want to filter through, look at when you're filtering. It will pass 3 things. The first thing is the most important, and that's why you can sort of have X just on its own, right? Is the thing each time, How about this one? How about this one? How about this one? How about this one? But what actually in JavaScript actually gets passed to the predicate function is the thing. It will also pass, but we're just throwing it away by dropping it, by not having a parameter to catch it. It will also pass the index of that thing in the array that you're filtering through. And as a third parameter, it will also pass you that entire array. So, if we, in fact, can we demonstrate that? 1, 2, 3 dot filter x I a. Again, this is sort of a naming convention. X is the thing, I is the index, and a is the array. Okay, we could say console.log xi a. True. Let's just put that in a thing there so we can return true. Return true. So there's the result of filter. In fact, let's just do that to say so we know which were the logs, right there. So there's the result of filter. So we're saying we're actually returning true for this predicate function output each time. So everything is going to make it through the filter. So we get 1, 2, and 3 out. But what we get each way around is we get x, which is 1 in the first instance, and we get the index of 1 in the array, which is index 0, and we get the array itself. And we get then 2 second time around. The index of 2 in the array is index 1, and the array again, and so on. That's why we can say, we'll have that, have that, have that, and then just check whether the array at the index that the x is in is where we are right now, as in, is it this one or is it a duplicate one down there? Okay, that's a really nice way of a simple unique function. Does that make sense? 846, good. Right, so given that, we can create another function to say, for a given resource, just show me the service region. So if we look at, for example, what was it? It was the second one, wasn't it? m.1.service plans. There we go. And we get the .data center, service plan. That'll do. Actually, we can sort of almost, egg it up by running through it. So we got the service plans here. And for each of the service plans, we get a data centers array. So we can see for this particular service plan here, we got 3 data centers. For this particular service plan here, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 data centers. And for this one, we get 9 as well. And for this one, we get 9 as well. And this one as well, right? So we want to go through the service plans of a given resource, go through the data centers, collect all the data center objects. In fact, we're going to do this. Service plans, let's get the first service plan there. And we can see the first one, the data centers are exploded now. Region, EU10, name. So we want the values of all the regions. And we want to collect them all together, okay? But once, ABAP has a service plan that's available in EU10, but so does, AI, conversational AI, and so on. So we're going to get multiple repeated things. So why don't we start with this one? Service plans, service regions, regions equals, it takes a thing, okay? It takes X, which is going to be one of the resources. And we're going to say x.service plan. Let's get the service plans of that X, okay? And now let's reduce it, okay? So we're going to sort of start to work through the service plans. Now, is it worth... JQ, where are we? V0 developer ABAP solution.json. Was that the first one? ABAP.json. There we go. More. Is it C for color? There we go. Yeah. Oh, I've got this, haven't I? Yeah. I've created my little thing. JS. There. There. So we've got this thing here. Oh, in fact, even better. There we go. FX. Let's use FX. I've not got FX. I thought I had FX. Oh, well, anyway, never mind. JS. That'll do. Right. So we've got here all the documentation. Where is it? Come on. Wow, loads of documentation. Service plans. So there's the first service plan. There. Name, 16 hour. We've got all these data centers. So we can see now with our eyes a little bit better, right? So we see what we're doing. So reduce. Okay, let's do that. In fact, all we're going to do is we're going to start with there's our function we're going to define in a minute, right? And we want to start with an array. We want to start with an empty array. If we just return that, we're going to get nothing. We're going to, if we just return that, what we're going to get? We're going to get an empty array because we're not doing anything, right? So if we say m1.map, service regions m of 1, we get an empty array, obviously, because we're not doing anything there. So now let's do something here, okay? We're going to say, whatever A is right now, let's add on to it concat, as in this is like concatenating an array onto an existing array and producing a new array, which is both of them. So whatever's in A right now, add onto it a map of the data centers, right? Like that. Close that one and close that one. There. And now we can do that. And there we go. We get a list of service regions. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat. Does that make sense? We've got 9 minutes left, so we've got plenty of time to discuss this. If this is too like woo but all we're doing here is, let's just bring that down one more. All we did there was we said, there's our reduction function. Okay. Make it In fact, let me make that a little bit wider so we can see. There, okay. So that is what we pass to reduce. Reduce takes two things. It takes the reduction function and it takes the starting value for the accumulator. There's the starting value for the accumulator. And then we say for each entry, for each service plan in this case, run this thing. And this thing gets given the accumulator, and when it reduce first starts off, whatever is given to A is whatever is specified here, or by default it's nothing, no, empty. And it gets the first one the first time round, the second one the second time round, the third one, all in X. So we say a.concat, so it's empty array.concat, and then we take the data centers, right, which are here, we map over those data centers, just returning the region, okay? So we get a list of all the regions, an array, EU10, JP10, whatever, and concatenate those onto whatever's in A already, which is nothing at the moment. So we get a list, an initial list. There we go. So that's how that works. So now, and it's explained here as well, so you can sort of read this as well. Right? Now we can map over the entire set of resources, m.map, and pass it this function, okay? Remember, the absolute beauty of JavaScript is that you can pass functions to other functions to do things. Now, what's that going to give us? Let's get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. That is going to give us a whole load of stuff, which is too much. There. That's where it starts. Where is it? There. Okay. Notice it's an array of arrays because we're mapping over each of the resources. So for the first resource, which was ABAP solution, I think, we get those. So those in and of themselves are all unique. Then for the ABAP one, we get that. Okay, we get more because there are more. Sorry, those aren't unique, are they? What's going on? Have I forgotten something? Filter unique. I didn't filter. Oh my goodness me. There we go. Nobody told me. What we want to do here is add that unique thing. There we go. That's better. M.map. If we do that one now, service regions, we just get that. Okay, just individually. So now if we say here map service regions, where are we? Come on. There we go. Now we get a unique list of region names or region IDs, whatever they're called, for all of the service plans for that first resource. And then there's the second resource, there's the third, and so on, right? So what we want to do is we want a collective list of all of these different service regions. But of course, if we just concatenate them all together, we'll have multiple duplicates. Right? So this is what this final thing does. Let's have a quick look at it. Where is it? If we map over all of the service regions, let's do that first and add them all together. So let's do that, m.map service regions. We've done that already, right? But then we can add them all together. But in fact, I suppose we could write a function to do this, a high level function, higher order function, but it doesn't matter. Let's just have a, so we can stare at this while we're doing it. There we go. Reduce x a dot, we know this pattern already, right? So we should be sort of abstracting this away. But anyway, a dot concat x, right? I think that's all we're going to start with that there. So now we get all of the oh yeah, okay, I was going to say it doesn't see that many, but then dot 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 and another 1,609 items, right? We get all of them. which is fine. But there you can see EU10's there, EU10's there, EU10's there, etc. So what we want to do now is just say filter using our unique function. Get that. And then we can just say sort, just sort them. So there is a JavaScript equivalent way of getting a list of a unique list, deduplicated, sorted of all the regions for all the data centers in all the service plans of all the resources. Does that make sense? And it's 9 o'clock. I can't believe it's almost 9 o'clock. So I think maybe we'll stop there. There are a few more bits and pieces of JavaScript here. I think we did this one last week. But yeah, let me know before we finish. Let me know, was that useful? Are you going to play around with the JavaScript? Which is your preferred weapon of choice? Are you going to be doing more JQ? Are you going to be doing JavaScript? And of course, this is only one flavor of JavaScript. One of the beauties of JavaScript as well is that you can write with different styles, multiple flavors. Some of you might prefer a more traditional procedural for loop type thing, or for each, or whatever. I try to keep it in a more functional style, A, because that's how my brain works, but B, because the similarity between the JavaScript equivalent and the JQ equivalent is closer. So Helmut, thank you. You're very welcome. So that's it for today. I'm not sure what we're going to do next week. Maybe I'll finish for Christmas a bit early. Maybe we'll do one next week. Let me know. I've had three folks asking me if we could do a JQ specific one. So let me know over the next day or so if you fancy a JQ specific one. Not to do with the BTP Service Metadata, but more sort of a bit of a dig into JQ, which will help you with the service metadata exploration. And if so, we'll do that next Friday. So yeah, thanks for joining everybody, and I'll see you maybe next week. Bye for now.